Success isn't built in bursts. It's built in habits. Anyone can push hard for a week or even a month, but it's what happens quietly, predictably, almost invisibly each day that makes the difference between mediocrity and mastery. You don't build a great life by doing something once in a while. You build it by what you do every single day. Now here's the question, what are you doing every day? Because that's what's shaping your future. Not the big moments, not the grand opportunities, but the small disciplines. The ones that seem too small to matter until they do. Every successful person I've met has a pattern. They live by design, not by default. Their days don't happen to them. They build them, one block at a time. And those blocks are called habits. Discipline is the foundation. Everything else is built on top of it. You see, it's not the amount of effort that counts. It's the consistency of it. If someone goes to the gym for 6 hours once a month, that's pain without progress. But 15 minutes a day, every day for a year. Now, that changes everything. Small effort, repeated often, outperforms big effort, done rarely. That's the law of discipline. Discipline is doing what's necessary, whether you feel like it or not. Feelings are a poor master. Discipline is a loyal servant. You can't wait for motivation to strike. It's too unpredictable. You build habits so you don't have to negotiate with yourself every morning. Once a discipline becomes habit, it no longer drains your willpower. It runs on autopilot, quietly building your future. The problem for most people isn't that they're lazy. It's that they're inconsistent. They do the right things, but only sometimes. And sometimes doesn't compound. Imagine putting $1 in a savings account only when you feel like it. The balance never grows. Success works the same way. You have to keep making deposits daily. Think about the farmer. He doesn't plant a seed today and harvest tomorrow. He plants, he waters, he weeds. He works the land day after day, long before he sees results. Why? Because he trusts the process. The soil will do its part if he does his. Discipline is your soil. If you keep planting the right seeds, you will eventually reap the harvest. The danger is that small neglects also compound. Skip one workout, miss one call, delay one plan, and it seems harmless. But a few small misses start a pattern of drift. Success is built by disciplines. Failure is built by neglect. They both grow quietly. The question is, which are you feeding? Every day is a vote for the kind of future you want. Every small choice says something about who you're becoming. That's why I call daily discipline the hinge of destiny. It's the small, repeated hinge that swings the big door of life. Now, people ask, how do you build that kind of discipline? You start with one daily act that proves to yourself you can. Maybe it's reading 10 minutes. Maybe it's journaling your lessons. Maybe it's reviewing your goals. Once you start keeping promises to yourself, you begin to trust yourself. And self-trust is the real foundation of confidence. When you look at someone living a great life, financially, emotionally, physically, it's easy to think they got lucky or that something big happened. But that's not how it works. Big results are just little disciplines multiplied by time. The same way interest compounds in a bank account, habits compound in a human life. The difference between a fortune and a frustration is what you do daily. So the challenge is simple. Build your day with intention. Don't let chance decide who you become. Set up routines that serve your future. Protect your mornings, review your goals, nourish your mind, move your body. Give thanks. Reflect at night. When you stack enough of these habits together, you become unstoppable. Not overnight, but over time. Discipline is the bridge between desire and accomplishment. Every day you cross it, you strengthen it. Miss a day, and it weakens. But walk it daily, and soon it carries the full weight of your dreams. That's where success begins. Not with motivation, but with motion. Not with luck, but with habit. The Daily Dozen will give you the structure. But first, you must understand this truth. It's not what you do once in a while that shapes your life. It's what you do every day. Every habit compounds. Nothing stands still. What you do today is either increasing your value or eroding it. Each decision adds or subtracts. That's the quiet mathematics of life. You don't escape the law of cause and effect. You live under it every day. Success and failure are not events. They're processes. If a person gains 20 pounds, it didn't happen from one meal. It came from small choices, repeated daily. And the same is true for wealth, wisdom, or happiness. The compounding principle rewards diligence and punishes drift. Do the right thing often enough, and time becomes your ally. Do the wrong thing often enough, and time becomes your enemy. Compounding is simple but relentless. A single penny, doubled every day for 31 days, grows to more than $10 million. Most people hear that and smile, but they forget it's the same in every area of life. A single discipline, doubled daily, compounds into success. A single neglect, doubled daily, compounds into regret. Look around and you'll see both at work. The healthy person didn't get that way from a burst of effort. They earned it, meal by meal, workout by workout. The reader didn't gain insight overnight. It came from pages turned day after day. And the one drowning in debt didn't arrive there from a single purchase. It came from a pattern of decisions, each too small to notice at the time. Everything compounds. Now here's the catch. Compounding doesn't ask for intensity. It asks for consistency. That's why most people miss it. They're willing to go all in for a week, but not to stay steady for a year. But compounding loves time more than talent. It doesn't reward the dramatic. It rewards the diligent. Imagine two people standing side by side. One makes a small positive choice each day, reading, saving, exercising. The other makes a small careless choice, skipping, spending, ignoring. After a week, no difference. After a month, still subtle. But after 5 years, one is living in growth and the other in decline. The daily difference compounds into a gulf. That's the power and danger of momentum. Once a direction is set, it builds speed. Positive habits make it easier to stay positive. Negative ones make it easier to stay negative. The key is to interrupt drift early. It's hard to turn a ship that's already gained speed. Neglect is easy because the results are delayed. If a person skips a workout today, nothing happens. Skip tomorrow, still nothing. So it feels harmless, but neglect works quietly. It builds corrosion. By the time the damage shows, the habit is deep. Discipline works the same way, but in reverse. Its results are also delayed. Read a few pages today and nothing looks different. Read daily for a year and your mind will never be the same. That's why only the wise stay faithful to invisible results. The compounding effect is neutral. It doesn't care who uses it. Time will multiply whatever you feed it, discipline or neglect. Feed it consistency, and it will multiply your growth. Feed it carelessness, and it will multiply your problems. Time is the partner of the diligent and the prosecutor of the lazy. So ask yourself what you're compounding right now. What habits are you adding to the account every day? Because time will cash the checks you write. The seeds you plant today will show up later. Some as fruit, some as thorns, and both grow from the same soil. The wise understand this law and use it on purpose. They invest daily effort knowing the harvest will come later. The unwise wait for a big break, never realizing small daily effort is the break. You don't need to revolutionize your life in one grand move. You just need to compound the right actions long enough. Every day matters. Every choice matters. The compounding principle guarantees that what you do consistently will eventually show, publicly or privately, for better or worse. That's why the daily dozen matters so much. It turns time into an ally instead of an enemy. Neglect nothing. Practice the small disciplines daily, because when you understand how compounding works, you stop chasing luck and start creating momentum. Never start a day until it's finished on paper. That simple principle can change a life. Most people begin their mornings reacting, checking messages, rushing through tasks, answering whatever shows up. But success doesn't live in reaction. It lives in preparation. Order brings clarity, and clarity saves time. A planned day is a day already half won. When the day is planned the night before, the mind sleeps peacefully and wakes up on purpose. There's no debate, no confusion, no wasted motion. You simply follow the plan you already designed when your mind was calm and clear. Think of it like building a house. You don't show up with a pile of materials and start hammering. You start with a blueprint. The day works the same way. Without a plan, you waste effort. With one, you multiply results. A few minutes of planning each night replaces hours of wandering each day. Here's the test. Can you describe tomorrow before it starts? If you can, you own the day. If you can't, the day owns you. Most people drift from one demand to another because they never took a moment to define their priorities. They let the urgent crowd out the important. But when you write the plan, you decide what matters. Planning forces you to think, and thinking is where value begins. Writing your day on paper or in a journal makes it visible, measurable, and actionable. It builds discipline. You're no longer a passenger in your day. You're the driver. Now, planning doesn't mean rigidity. Life will bring interruptions, surprises, and adjustments. But a plan gives direction even when the wind changes. A ship can't control the weather, but it can adjust the sails. The plan is your sail. Without it, even a strong wind becomes chaos. Each night before the day ends, take 10 minutes to ask 3 questions. What must be done? What can wait? What matters most? Then put the answers in order. That list becomes your next day's map. You'll wake up knowing exactly where to begin. Most people spend their days doing low-value work because they never defined high-value work. Planning filters the noise. It forces you to identify the few things that move you forward. When you plan your day, you trade busyness for progress. And there's a second benefit. A written plan frees your mind. Once the plan is on paper, your brain stops carrying it. It can rest. That's why the best sleep often follows a clear plan. The mind relaxes knowing tomorrow's already handled. You can plan with a notebook, a card, or a simple page. It doesn't matter. What matters is the habit. Do it every day until it becomes automatic. Some people think they don't have time to plan, but that's like saying you don't have time to save money. The time invested returns itself many times over. When you plan, you create a sense of anticipation. You start to live proactively instead of reactively. You begin the day not wondering what to do, but doing what you've already decided matters most. That's how you gain momentum early and maintain it all day. Success is found in structure, not stress. And structure starts the night before. So before you close your eyes, finish your day on paper. Write your intentions, your appointments, your priorities. Then let the plan work for you while you rest. The next morning, you'll step into motion with confidence, not confusion. The day won't surprise you. You'll meet it ready. That's the power of order. A planned day prevents wasted motion, protects your purpose, and multiplies your time. Never start a day until it's finished on paper. It's one of the simplest disciplines, but like all great principles, it carries the weight of transformation. Your mind needs daily nourishment, just as your body does. Miss a meal, and you'll feel it in your strength. Miss a day of feeding your mind, and you'll feel it in your attitude. Reading something valuable each day keeps the mind alert, the ideas fresh, and the perspective sharp. The difference between the successful and the struggling often begins in what they read. Most people fill their minds with entertainment, not education. They spend hours consuming what adds nothing to their growth. But those who rise high in life make a habit of reading for insight, not for escape. A few pages of wisdom every day compound into a new philosophy over time. It doesn't take much. 15 minutes of good reading daily can reshape a life. Because reading exposes you to new thoughts, and new thoughts create new actions. What enters the mind eventually enters behavior. Think of reading as conversation with great minds. When you open a book, you sit down with someone who spent years distilling their experiences into words you can absorb in an hour. That's leverage. You can't live long enough to make every mistake yourself. But through reading, you can borrow lessons from those who've already walked the path. Now, not all reading is equal. Some material entertains, but doesn't educate. It passes time, but doesn't add value. Reading for wisdom means selecting carefully. Books that stretch your thinking, deepen your understanding, or strengthen your character. It could be philosophy, history, biography, or spiritual truth. The key is to feed the mind what helps it grow. Every day, choose something that builds you. Keep a shelf or a stack of books that feed your purpose. Keep one by your bed, another in your briefcase, one in the living room. Never be far from good ideas. When you sit down to read, underline thoughts that strike you. Write notes in the margins. Turn reading into dialogue. Passive reading fades fast. Active reading compounds understanding. I learned long ago that the mind becomes like what it consumes. If you read gossip, you think gossip. If you read wisdom, you think wisdom. The mind mirrors its input. That's why it's critical to guard what you let in. Reading valuable material daily keeps your thinking aligned with your goals. Some people say they don't have time to read, but time is never the issue. Priority is. 15 minutes before bed, 10 in the morning, 5 during lunch. The moments exist, and those moments repeated become mental wealth. You can start with a single page. The habit is the victory. Reading builds vocabulary, confidence, and communication. The more words you understand, the more precisely you can think. And the more clearly you think, the more powerfully you act. Reading sharpens the mind the way exercise sharpens the body. It keeps you fit for ideas. Make your reading list intentional. Include the classics that shaped thought for centuries. Include biographies that reveal the price of greatness. Include ideas that challenge your assumptions. Every new idea is a tool. The more tools you gather, the more problems you can solve. And here's something remarkable. Reading not only gives you answers, it gives you better questions. It expands your capacity to see. The person who reads daily walks through the world more aware, more observant, more discerning. Reading makes the invisible visible. So decide today to build the habit. Even a few pages a day, read with focus, can change your entire philosophy over time. Let reading become as routine as breakfast. Feed your mind before you feed your body. Because when the mind is nourished, everything else follows. If you read valuable material daily, you'll never run out of ideas. You'll never run dry in motivation. You'll always have something to give because you've been filling your reservoir. That's the habit of daily reading. Quiet, steady, transformative. It doesn't shout, but over time, it changes the entire direction of a life. Writing refines thinking. That's why journaling is one of the most valuable habits a person can develop. The act of putting words on paper forces clarity. Thoughts that seem clear in the mind become sharper when written. And when you capture lessons, ideas, and progress, you begin to see your own growth over time. Most people live their days and forget them. They experience, but they don't extract. A journal becomes the laboratory of your life. It's where experience turns into wisdom. Every day brings lessons, but without reflection, they disappear. Writing them down preserves them. It's like collecting gold dust before it blows away. Keep a daily record. What you learned, what worked, what didn't, what you're grateful for. The entries don't have to be long or poetic. They just need to be honest. A few sentences that summarize the day are enough. Over time, those pages will reveal patterns, progress, mistakes, tendencies, strengths, and that awareness is priceless. When you write, you slow down your thinking. You move from reaction to reflection. You start asking better questions. What did I learn today? What did I avoid? Where did I improve? Where did I drift? Those questions turn an ordinary day into a meaningful one. A journal serves as a mirror. It shows you yourself. You can go back and read what you believed 6 months ago, what worried you, what goals you set. Sometimes you'll smile, sometimes you'll shake your head, but always you'll learn. Growth is most visible when compared to where you've been. And there's something powerful about seeing your own handwriting. It reminds you that your life is being written one day at a time. Each page is proof of attention, of discipline, of care. The journal becomes a conversation between your present and your future self. Don't wait for something profound to happen before you write. The discipline itself creates the insight. Sit down with pen and paper, even when you think there's nothing to say. Within minutes, thoughts appear. Writing draws them out. Some of the best ideas come from the simple act of starting. Keep your journals organized and dated. Label them by year. Over time, they become a personal library of lessons. When challenges arise, you can look back and see how you overcame others. When success comes, you can trace the path that led there. It's a record of proof that you're capable of change. And here's a secret. Writing multiplies gratitude. When you record your blessings, you notice more of them. When you record your wins, you build confidence. When you record your struggles, you find perspective. A written life is a richer life. Some people think they'll remember everything. They won't. Memory fades. Paper remembers. A thought unrecorded is a thought lost. But a journal keeps your lessons alive long after the moment passes. So make it a ritual. 5 minutes at the end of the day. Open the book, grab the pen, and capture the essence of what the day gave you. It doesn't matter if you write 2 lines or 2 pages. The habit is what compounds. Years from now, you'll look back and thank yourself for writing. You'll hold in your hands the record of your becoming. You'll see how far you've come and how consistent effort built a new version of you. Journaling compounds understanding. It refines thought, reinforces learning, and reveals progress. It's one of the simplest tools for growth and one of the most powerful. Write your life as you live it, because the more you write, the more you see. And the more you see, the more you grow. Your body is the engine that drives your life. It fuels your mind, carries your ambitions, and supports your discipline. You can't build a strong life on a weak foundation, and the foundation is physical vitality. Energy supports every other habit. Without it, even good intentions fade. Exercise is not about vanity. It's about vitality. A strong body keeps the spirit sharp. The way you treat your body affects the way you think, feel, and act. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. When energy is low, decision-making weakens, discipline slips, and emotions run high. But when energy is strong, the mind clears and action flows easily. The goal isn't to become a professional athlete. The goal is to build enough strength, stamina, and flexibility to support your best self. Move daily. Walk, stretch, lift, breathe. Do something that reminds your body it's alive. The act of movement itself builds confidence. You're sending a signal. This body is under good management. It doesn't take hours. 15 to 30 minutes of consistent movement can transform the way you feel. The key is regularity. Just as small disciplines compound in business or study, they compound in health. Miss one day and it's easy to miss two. Keep the chain unbroken and soon the habit runs on its own momentum. Nutrition matters too. What you eat is fuel. Junk in, junk out. Feed your body like it matters, because it does. Your energy is the foundation of your productivity, creativity, and attitude. Protect it. High performance starts in the body long before it shows up in results. Rest is part of discipline. Recovery isn't laziness, it's preparation. A tired mind can't think clearly. A tired body can't perform effectively. Rest, hydration, and movement form the trio of energy management. Treat your health as an investment, not an afterthought. When you neglect the body, the cost doesn't show up right away, but it compounds. Small neglects become chronic fatigue, poor focus, or illness. When you build strength daily, that too compounds into longevity, resilience, and clarity. The body rewards stewardship the way money rewards saving. And there's another dimension, self-respect. Keeping yourself physically strong says to your mind, I'm worth the effort. That message spreads into every area of life. The disciplined body supports the disciplined mind. You can't separate them. Physical order and mental order go hand in hand. Exercise teaches lessons that transfer. Patience, persistence, delayed gratification. You don't get strong in a day. You get strong by showing up. The same pattern that builds muscle builds success. Daily consistency, repetition, incremental progress. The workout becomes a metaphor for life. Take a walk in the morning, it clears the mind. Lift some weights, it builds confidence. Stretch, it teaches balance. Breathe deeply. It reminds you to slow down. Every form of movement can become a ritual of renewal. What matters is that you move. And as energy builds, so does enthusiasm. A tired body can't sustain passion. But when you're fit, ideas come faster. Moods stabilize, and effort feels lighter. You can handle more without strain. That's the hidden benefit. Discipline in the body multiplies capacity in the mind. So make daily exercise part of your philosophy, not just your routine. See it as maintenance for your future. The body you build today is the foundation you stand on tomorrow. Keep it strong, keep it flexible, keep it ready. Move daily, not for appearance, but for endurance. Because when the body has energy, the mind has power. And when both are working together, life becomes an upward spiral. Gratitude and reflection are the twin anchors of a calm, productive life. One keeps the heart right, the other keeps the head clear. Gratitude reminds you of what's working. Reflection reminds you of what needs improving. Together, they keep you balanced, grateful for progress, aware of potential. Gratitude changes how you see. The moment you stop to give thanks, perspective shifts. Instead of dwelling on what's missing, you notice what's present. You start to realize how much is already working in your favor.